Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today our guest is Michael Borris. He's a candidate for U.S. Congress, District Number 1. But before we get to Mr. Borris, Jim.
Actually, you know what? I don't have any rants.
This is a third show tonight.
Yeah, I know. Actually,
when is he going to run out of rants?
No, I'm not. No, I'm good, man. I get to hang out with my favorite person, Steve Sanson, and get to interview a candidate.
Thank you. But
couldn't be happier.
You know what? I forgot. I totally skipped my mind.
What's up?
The Valentine's Day ball that was just passed. Right?
Yeah.
We had a lovely time. There was over 100 folks there. There wasn't one fight. Everybody was loving each other because it was Valentine's. You're supposed to love, right? And we had a really, really good time. At least everybody said they had a really, really good time. But I was still working, so I wasn't still in work mode. So I wasn't really having a good time because I was still making sure things were going right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. Okay. So we do it biannually. We do it every 2 years. And this is one thing, and it's not a rant, it's just a public service announcement, kind of. It's one of those things like, every time we do it, you notice we see just as many Republicans as Democrats come in. Mm-hmm. And they all have a good time, and they're talking, laughing, joking. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, you know what? That's the way you should run the government, too. Yeah. Like, hey, get along, work together, do what's right by the state, do what's right by the country, and not just be like, oh, that's a Democrat, or that's a Republican. Like, start working together and, look out for the good of everybody, not just yourself.
I want to thank our MC B. Taylor and our two guest speakers, Judge Timothy Williams and Congresswoman Rattawagon, and our comedian, my brother, Romeo Ballantine.
And he did a great job. That guy was hilarious.
Funny.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I was super impressed.
Yeah, he flew all the way to Florida flew all the way from Florida just to do that.
Yeah, I was super impressed. He was awesome. He did a wonderful job.
Yes. All right, so now we got Michael Borris. Michael, tell us about you.
I lived out in Las Vegas now for about 38 years of my life. I'm Michael Boris.
That's a minute.
I grew up on the east side of town. I graduated out of El Dorado High School. Went to College of Southern Nevada, along with Stratford, which is not like a real college, but it's on the Ballotpedia thing. But it's a college. It counts. I worked as a headlining comedian.
You are a comedian?
Yeah,
all right, let's hear something.
Okay. My dad, growing up, used to hate that I smoked cannabis. Like, hated when I was growing up. And he'd look at me and say, you look high. And I'd say, yeah. And he'd say, no, you look like you smoke 2.7 grams. And I'd say, that's exactly what I smoke. How did you know this? And he would roll up his bag and go, because I'm short 2.7 grams.
That sounds like something my dad would have said. Like, oh, I know, because my stash is a little low.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So, I do comedy. I was in radio for about 12 to 15 years. I had the first cannabis education show syndicated on FM in the country with Dr. Wayne Kelly, much like Love Lines, working against cancers, with children, epilepsy, veterans with, the suicide rate, getting off the opioids. As you know, with the VA, they pump you full of opioids. And that was a big issue for us. And I host and produce events, and we're talking like the Boston Freedom Rally. I did that for 3 years. All the hemp cons, the hemp fest, like that's my big elephant in the thing.
So you're going to make hemp federally a federal thing if you become a congressman?
Well, I'll tell you now, the Democrats are already started on it. And it's one thing that the Republican Party doesn't like to wrap their head around. They can't get over the stigma of.
But yet they'll take the money for the.
They'll take that money in a heartbeat. Yeah, they got that money.
Hypocrites.
Right now in Las Vegas, they have they collected in the last 2 years, $900 million that they put in that rainy day fund of the cannabis taxes. And the reason that got voted with a 68% plus is everybody was supposed to give that money to the kids because, we have dumbest kids in the country. It's a fact. So they didn't give any of these. Lombardo gave $25 million to the Culinary Union and zero to these kids with no transparency. You don't know where the money's going. You can't see anything. And that was something that infuriated a lot of the people, especially in Nevada and Las Vegas itself. the highest turnout they have on voters is when they have cannabis on the ballot. Most people in my community, and we do politics, but we do the big stuff. We're saving lives. That's what we're out there doing. And nobody ever asks what party you're from. You're just out there working together, and we are a mass of people. Yeah. So right now, it's, I'm in town, and nothing's been beautified on, the east side downtown. Henderson and Boulder City looking great. 2%
Where's
club.
CD1 actually?
That's going to be everything south of Nellis Air Force Base, and then all the way through to Boulder City, so Henderson, the east side, and then up through the downtown area, and then right where all the dispensaries are, coincidentally.
Yeah. So why are you running for Congressional District 1?
Well, because the world right now is not what we were promised, and nobody's speaking up for the every guy.
Who's that? Who's the every guy?
The every guy is the guy who tomorrow, are you going to have gas money to get to work? Who's going to watch the kids? How am I going to put food in the fridge when $200 now gets you, the bottom half of your basket filled? Yeah. There's a lot of people running.
Is that basket the one on the top part, where you put all your fragile?
That's where you put your 5 kids, because we're fertile out in District 1 on the east side. But this town doesn't have a lot of culture. What we do have is each other.
They blow everything up.
Right. Every 10 years, everything's gone. You don't remember where your first kiss was, your first date. It's all gone. And nobody speaks for them. And I've been billed in many magazines and everything else, Netflix and stuff, with I'm listed as the voice because I speak for my people. And I've done this for decades. It's who I am. I'm a published author. But nobody, I feel like, that's trying to, I would say, buy their way into this election are some of the people I'm running against. They feel like their money's going to speak for them. And you should have a choice. You should feel like the guy that's going to be up there helping to vote as your voice for what goes on in our country should speak for you. The woman there now, Titus, who's been there 10 years, that seat's been blue 25 years. Because they
Shelley Berkeley had it.
For a little bit, right? But the majority of the 25 years. But they keep sending out the same cookie cutter, Republican out there. And in Vegas, the biggest part of our district, especially District 1, doesn't play that. We're tough. We're raised on streets. A lot of people got through gangs, and we had a lot of family. And I've been through everything from hell and back. So
sorry to cut you, but you said you've been here 38 years.
Yeah, since 1980.
From the time you filed for office for CD1 till now, how long have you actually been living in Las Vegas?
8 months back. So I was taking care of my mother who lived in Modesto. Okay. And then I was married to an attorney, or she was going to be an attorney. We went to Thomas Jefferson School of Law, and I helped put her through law school. So we had to move out to San Diego to do that. And then after all this stuff was done, I brought my butt back home to Vegas.
So you've been here 8 months since you filed?
Yeah, 8 months back.
And prior to the 8 months, where were you and how long?
Modesto for a year, San Diego for maybe 5 years. Yeah, but I'm out here every other weekend. My girlfriend at the time lived out here. I perform out here at the Stratosphere. I'm literally out here every other weekend.
So you don't consider yourself a carpetbagger then?
Oh, hell no. I'm an East Sider.
You're East Sider?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, so you've been here 8 months since you filed.
I only filed like 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. So you've been here 4 or 5 months since you filed?
No, I've been back 8 months, but I
months.
Filed 4 or 5 months ago, maybe.
Okay.
5 months.
And prior to that, you were in Modesto for a year.
Yeah.
And prior to that, you were in San Diego for 5 years.
Yeah.
So why come back and run for office?
Well, I didn't come back to run for office. I came back because this is my home. And then as I'm driving, I'm here all the time, but I never went back to the east side. I'm on the strip and working, and then I go home.
Gotcha.
Well, when I drive through and I got back, I go, this looks like crap. Why am I can go down to Green Valley. It's beautiful. Wow, look at all the change. Everything's big again. But you go down like downtown, I started working with the Holy Smoke missionaries. There's 6,000 people living in tunnels under the frickin' street by the Rio. And so they were doing comedy shows. And I said, I'd love to participate in this. And after the comedy, Shauna, who runs that group, and Jesse, says, put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
Come down here and let's pass out food and batteries for their helmets. And we went like miles into this thing. And every time the water comes, it kills them off, like at least 3 of them. It will flood them out. I mean, there's people that have been living down there for 7, 8 years. I don't know how to fix it, don't get me wrong, but it's not right. And something has to be done because that's not what Vegas is. I mean, it shouldn't be that much being swept under. So, you know, you'll see them, they'll put signs up, Super Bowl's coming to town. Okay, well, everybody's getting arrested. They have laws out here with our homeless specifically here where you're not allowed to stop walking. So if you stop walking, you sit down, you lay down, you do anything, you go to jail.
So have you been knocking on doors?
Yes. Yeah. Just
And what type of feedback are you hearing?
luckily, Dr. John Petrick, who's also running for AD, took me out. So I've only been once. I just went just the other day in the rain. But I do a lot of phone calls. 2 hours.
What are you hearing?
Mostly when I ask, and I'll call them, I'll go, hey, I'm just polling. I'd like to know your opinion. And a lot of people say everything. Everything. So immigration is going crazy right now. They're about the civil war over here. You got the Ukraine fighting over here. Everyone forgot that half the kids in Hawaii are missing right now, and they burnt it down. And
But what about what's going on in CD1?
in CD1, the crime rate's through the roof. The gas prices have gone through the roof. Titus, took all the taxes and put them up. The rents are up. You got iBuyers buying up all the properties, which are international buyers. And they're buying up all the property. So your landlord now lives in Sri Lanka or something, and they're buying 50 houses.
Housing shortage.
Yeah. And then it looks like crap. Like if you go up to the Brownies on Lake Mead in Hollywood, it's all just boards and windows. It's been like that for 10 years now. I've been driving around there.
Yeah, and that used to be pristine when because I've lived here.
I used to live there on pristine.
Well, I don't know. I've lived in Las Vegas for 40 years, and when
Lake Mead in Hollywood was pristine, but the Brownies right there, that
Right.
brown.
Yeah, I get you. All right.
What is the demographics, blacks, white, Asians, Hispanics, in for CD1?
44% Hispanic, and yo hablo mucho español. Yo tengo 3 años en escuela. Mi hija es España, mi otro esposa.
Are you relating to them?
Yeah, no, don't tattoo that. I grew up on the east side. We're a mixing
Habla
pot.
español?
Yeah, mucho español.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mucho. But we're a mixing pot out there. So all my friends are black, Mexican, a couple white people, because that's the demographic. Two. There's one. And you now.
And you?
No, I'm Italian and Jewish.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I'm not white.
I grew up LDS out here. I was born Jewish, and Jewish and Italian. My father's Jewish, my mother's Italian, and according to those religions, it cancel each other out. But I went to the Goldcrest Ward out here as a child for about 5 years, which I guess doesn't exist anymore. I just found out. But yeah, I was raised LDS, and we were just a big mix.
So you wore those underwears?
Which ones?
The LDS underwears. The ones that all buttoned up and it's like a chastity belt.
Absolutely. I never had to do all the hard stuff.
Okay.
I didn't have to go on missions and do that. I just held on to my grandma's
So
pocket.
you're more of a Jack Daniel LDS type person.
Yeah. They don't let me in the big temple. They don't let me, but the morals are there.
They won't let them come up the block. They see them, you're like,
No.
Metro.
Yeah.
Have you been to DC?
No. Well, I've been there to perform. I haven't been there to speak to the other, at the House and the other congressmen. We're actually lining that up now.
All right. So, what bills would you want to see come to fruition? What bills would you sponsor as a congressman?
Plant medicine, obviously, is a big one for me. I think it's going to bring the healthcare costs down, and I think that it's an individual freedom, and you should have your choice. The schooling is a big thing for me. I think you need to put a lot more money into our education system so that we get better quality teachers, and you should be allowed to pick where to send your children to school.
It's a school choice.
Yeah, my daughter, she's 6 years old, and her first week of school, she's a very shy girl, sweetheart. And first week she was loving it, and then they kicked her out of that school because it was too full and sent her to another school. So now it's, she's finally assimilated, but it was really rough for her.
Is that your first?
Kid?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 21-year-old.
Okay. Because I'm like, why? You started late having kids.
Well, it was like a do-over.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one you're
To
like...
make up from the 20-year-old.
Right. I'm not going to let anything hurt you, the first one. The second one, you're like, I'm not going to fuck you up like that one. So, I tell the 21-year-old, you're lucky to be alive every day.
Oh, shit.
But I have
I'm sure the 21 is a male, huh?
Yeah.
Because fathers act differently with their daughters than they do their sons.
My daughter, and she's the 6-year-old, she's the youngest. So when I had the first two, which are very far apart, you're just like, oh, my boys, But then when you have your daughter, you're like, I would kill for you, without hesitation. If they were like, she'll live an extra 5 minutes if you go blow up a Walmart, I'll be on it. With nobody in there. No, of course, nobody in there. But just the building of Walmart.
It's somebody. I had my youngest daughter in my arms one time. I was at a Tea Party rally, and she was I don't know 5, 6 years old, or maybe even younger. And there was a reporter that was interviewing me because of the Tea Party, and then asked me some off the chart question: what was my weakness? He goes, what's your weakness? And I'm like, what the hell? What's my weakness? And I'm looking at my daughter, and I'm like, this is my weakness, right? And he goes, what would you do for her? I said, okay, so we want to get into this? He goes, yeah. I said, I'll blow up a small country, and before you ask, women and children alike. If it meant to save her life.
Start with the kids.
If it meant to save her life, country's blown up. Women, children, dog, I don't care. They're all gone. Yeah. If it means I'm going to save my little girl's life, they're all gone. Yeah. I said, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I go back and forth and visit her. She's in San Diego with her mom. Mm-hmm. So, and I get summertime, and, we co-parent like champions. Right. But, my baby girl's my baby girl. And she looks just like me, too. Like, it's a clone.
She got tats?
Not yet. We got to wait till she's 8.
So how much money do you think it would cost you, Mr. Boris, to run a congressional campaign like this? And then how much have you actually raised?
I think I'm close to 40,000 right now. I'm not the 850,000 from the one guy.
Did you file with FEC already?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm filed. I have a great treasurer. I got a lot of in-kind donations. So the one thing about doing what I do is I've always worked in the industry free. I've never charged anybody. I've flown all around the world on my own dime. Right. I own an appliance company. I have contracts with General Electric, Allstate, Guardsman. So I've done all this free. Well, all these favors are now coming back in. So I've gotten free billboards around town. I put Make Buffets great again because I feel like comedy's awesome. Yeah. And I've gotten free stages. My logo on a 24-foot light board, yard signs from Mike Houlihan and the Integrative Providers Association, which is at UNLV, and it's doctors and nurses. I've been hosting it for 3-4 years now, and if you're a medical student in that program, you get a college credit towards your medical degree from here or Reno, and they got me like palm cards, but I'm doing my phone calls every day, 2-3 hours, and I've raised. Now, my first 2 months, I got screwed over by, I won't say, but a campaign manager who saw me coming a mile away. I was a little green on it.
Took your money?
Like $20,000.
Wow. And you didn't Jap slap him?
Man, I did write him a letter that said, fuck around and find out. I'm like, I'm not a politician, homie. I'll come to your house. I'll come to your house.
You put it in writing?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to put it in
my lawyer said you can write it once. You can write it once.
No, you write it no time.
Yeah.
Don't put it in writing.
Well, you had to know. That was very important. The 20,000, you got to know that you'll fuck around and find out on 20 G's. And that's Vegas, man. That's like, these are real people. You can't have, and I'll use like, carpet bag. I'll use Larsen Flemming. I don't want to shit on anybody. I'm not into that. But let's say Larsen Flemming, who referred to me as the pot guy at one of his things. It made me hate his freaking guts. Like Ron, I love Ron to death, man. Ron's cool as shit. He's got beautiful hands, they're all manicured. He's a nice guy. But I think Flemming's a douche. And when it comes to looking down, like, okay, it's either the guy that lost last time, who's only here because he thinks it's funny to make that guy spend his $800,000, or the douche. You got to pick a real person. These people aren't getting anything done. They're just constantly losing against the same lady.
Recycle campaign.
Yes, yeah. And then the party's just looking at them like they're walking on water. But those aren't real people. They're just cookie cutters. Like my biggest popularity is with independents, and I flip Democrats.
Well, you know what? Since you brought up your opponents, they say don't ever open up the door, but he just
Let him in.
He kicked that door in. So you got Mark Robinson.
Yes, Colonel Robinson.
Mark Robinson. Mm-hmm. Okay, and not taking anything away from his military.
I'll Google that later. There's
military,
there.
but he likes to wear the uniform.
Right.
And he's not supposed to.
When he's not supposed to.
At political events to promote himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've never seen me in the uniform. I promote myself. I put my hat on, and I'm good to go. You
don't need the hat. I saw your shoulders. I was like, "That's a ring right there."
So you got this guy that ran last time and won the primary and lost the general. How are you going to compete against that guy?
He's already a loser. I don't have to compete. Okay. And if it was compete, I've sat with some of the biggest people, Axiom, everybody, and they've interviewed us all. And we sat down, and they'll tell you 9 out of 10 voters are going to walk away with me every time because I've experienced what they're doing. I'm not talking the 10% that actually show up to the primaries because we're going to blow that number out of the water. But I want that 10% too. I'm that bridge. I work in the corporate world and I work with real people, and they both need each other. It can't just be the Colonel Robertsons of the world. That dude's so disconnected and ivory towered out. He's
ivory towered out. I like that.
I'm sure he gets a great check and pension. It's in the double 6, 7 figures. He don't worry about gas in the morning. He's not worried about insurance. He's not even worried about paying for his election.
Don't you like these people? They talk about, I know what it's like to live from paycheck to paycheck. Right. Like, when was the last time did you ever live from paycheck to paycheck? And I'm not talking about when you just left your mama's house 40, 50 years ago. Right. I'm talking about recently, the last 5, 10 years. When was the last time it was like to live from paycheck to paycheck?
And like, how many times have we been to events, Steve, you and I, at Republican events? And I'm a registered Republican, but sometimes when they do stupid stuff, got to make fun of them. Every single Republican candidate goes, vote for me because I know how to balance a paycheck. Or a checkbook, and I'm just sitting there going, yeah, as you pull away in your Maserati. Okay, yeah, you're relatable.
Blue collar. He said, I'm blue collar. So now I like to go on Twitter. I have a huge social media. I'll go on Twitter and I'll just post a picture of a ratchet and go, what's that? Right. And tag him in it. And he'll answer sometimes too. It's the dumbest thing you can do on my media.
So what about Larsen Flemming, who won an assembly, he lost by 300 votes, his assembly district.
Which is a lot
in that area. How are you going to compete against that guy?
I don't think he's any competition. Nobody likes him. He does his coffee meet and greets with his 6 people every week. He's got a paid for 300 that runs around with him. You got 850,000. You can look as great as you want. I know a lot of actors, and they look great because of their money, but they're really douchebags. The guy is not connected to Vegas whatsoever. He's like the spirit of San Diego. Steakhouses are great. I love the meat. And if he was making me, a steak, I'd be like, yeah, get that guy for steak. But this guy runs for his own ego. He only wants to see himself. That's why he's half of his frickin' billboard. And the only thing I don't like is they started the illegal sign posting. Both of those dummies started and that's why I like Ron, because Ron could have been putting them signs out illegally too, and he withheld. And I was like, I respect that.
He did billboards instead.
Right, but he did them legally. He didn't put them out everywhere, and everything was legal with him. But the other two, they're having like a pissing match, and they're doing it with their money. They put the signs right next to each other. I tried to go be a comic and film them. I almost got hit by a car because they're blocking the frickin' freeway.
Right.
I'm sitting there going, oh my Jesus Christ, Colonel Spice. That's what I call Colonel Spice. I call it, it's Fleming Larsen and Colonel Spice. If you got hit by a
car, you should have sued him.
Man, I didn't want to get hit by a car again. That hurts. Yeah, man, they just call me speed bump.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I get hit by cars a lot.
You get hit by a car? What you go against the crosswalk?
No, those two keep running, and that's why they keep putting their signs. Yeah, no, man.
All right, so how do you feel about Mr. Quince, who claims that he has the minority vote because he's a minority, and he claims he's the mega candidate? How do you feel about it? Kind of sound like Eddie Hamilton for a little bit, huh?
And I like Ron. Let's start there. Ron, no offense whatsoever. But on Ron's Instagram, he spells business B-I-N-I-S-S-S. And that's right there. That says it all. And he's got that. And I spoke to his buddy Howard.
How he spells it?
B-I-N-I-S-S-S.
That's business.
No. That's him thinking he's spelling business because there's other misspellings on the other ones that are just as bad. He's only got 3 posts.
Did you tell him about it?
I know I didn't want to disrespect him like that. I figured one of his friends
Well,
would
you
tell
know,
him.
Well, you telling him now, shit.
We got a sign. I can tell him I'm telling him to his face. But I didn't want to disrespect him like that because when I seen him the first time, he didn't know who I was, and I'm shining light so he could fill out at the CCRP meeting. And he couldn't. It was dark, couldn't see. So I'm using my flashlight, like, here, bud, let me help you shine your thing. And he does his thing, and he looks up at me, and then he skitters away. And I'm like, hey, I'm not like the other two. Come hang out, we can be friends, bro. My sister's Filipino. I got the whole, there's a biker club, and it's all Pacific Islanders. Yeah. And then I was gonna mess with him and have him come out on me just to play with him. But then he's such a nice guy. I was like, nah.
I got a lot of respect for you coming out to the show and doing this.
Dude, I can't. I was nervous for you, man. I watched you just tear people apart. And I said, Kelly, I was like, okay, Kelly's doing good. Kelly's holding it together. Kelly's sensitive, man. Yeah, he was starting. He was starting. And I seen him last, and he goes, I went to your background, and I go, whew. I was like, clean, huh? He goes, found one thing. Want to be on a show? And I was like, yeah. Everybody's like, what are you doing? But I'm a fan. Like, man, I watch it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love watching you.
I appreciate that. So what are you going to do differently that hasn't already been done?
Everything, man. I'm not like any of these people that have been there. Transparency. I built my career on not lying, not cheating, not stealing, and showing everybody 100%. I don't profit off people. I make more than enough money for me at my appliance company. So
what's the name of it?
Service on-site repair and first option repair.
I got a dishwasher that...
Call me, I'll fix it. Yeah, I got 7 employees altogether. I still do service calls. I do them out in Boulder City and Henderson, out here.
I'm in Centennial. You're going to probably charge me gas money.
I'm right, yeah, I don't live in my district. So,
I don't live in my district.
Yeah, I don't live in my district.
Where do you live?
I'm on Alexander and Buffalo. I'm right down the road.
You know...
You been to the east side? Let's see what Titus did to that? I'm going to fix it, and then I'll go back.
And I know you didn't live in your district, but I wanted you to tell me that. But, how do you ask people to vote for you if you can't vote for yourself?
Because I'm an East Sider, and that's for life. That's for life. I don't care where I live. If you're from the East Side, you could be in Kentucky. You could be in Kentucky, and East Sider is an East Sider. Like everybody, and it's a small community, and we were all together for so long. It don't matter. You can't. How hard? Where I got to put you to take the New York out of you?
Nowhere.
Exactly. So
I could be on Mars.
You could run for AD in the Bronx from here. Who gonna tell you that you ain't got the voice of the Bronx? So this has been my town from day one.
You can't vote for yourself, Mike.
If I move over there real quick, they got budget suites still on Tropical Boulder. I'll hop right in one of them weeklies. Where you live?
I live right down the street. I know where Tropical Boulder is. Let's just put it.
But I tell you,
got a friend over there named Candy.
Candy.
Yeah, she lives right behind Sam's Town.
Yeah, you see that fentanyl is crazy right now. It used to be meth. Remember when everybody was dying from meth? Now that shit ain't nothing. Fentanyl is. I'm watching.
Well, you know what? Let's just ask you some federal questions. Mm-hmm. So we got to know Mike a little bit better.
Just Google how to do this job.
You're probably smarter than most people. But.
You could grab one from underneath here.
You got a magic stat?
Yeah, magic stat. I gotta keep Mike hydrated. But Mr. Boris, we have an immigration problem. Mm-hmm. A terrible immigration problem. Do you lock your doors at night?
Yes and no. I'm a bad one with that.
All right. Well, majority. I'm
scared of shit. When I'm laying down, I'm thinking
tell
about
everybody to come on in. Do you?
No. I'm strapped up. I'm strapped up.
You like to know who's in your house, right?
Right.
So why does this country have a problem with not want to know who's coming in our country? Shouldn't we treat our country like our house?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the thing is, what do they say? When you're young, if you're not a bleeding heart like liberal, and then you have no heart. And when you're older, if you're not a Republican, then you have no common sense. Right. When I was younger, I always thought, man, I'll tell you too, you look at my voting record, if you didn't have weed on the ballot, I didn't vote. I voted for Obama because he was black. I wanted to see what would happen there. And he liked cannabis. And I voted for Bernie Sanders.
Oh,
that's the only time I ever
voted for Bernie Sanders?
Bernie liked weed. That was all. Gary Johnson.
Oh, okay. Now,
when was the last time you voted actually in the state?
Bernie Sanders? Oh, Obama. I think all my voting was here.
When was the last time you actually voted?
Yesterday?
Besides yesterday, when was the last time you actually, you talking about the presidential primary, when was the last time you actually voted in this state?
Probably, I don't know. And if I did it, it was probably to get a girl or to get some promote cannabis. Politics.
This guy's way too honest for me.
It's not for us. It's not for us. And I mean, if you're not one of them 1%ers and you're not going to make that corporate money tracked around, voting ain't going to do nothing for you.
Now, let me try to help you out.
Vote now, though. Vote now.
Let me try to help you out. So I'm gonna try to re-step for you here. So you've been here 8 months since you filed.
8 months back, yeah.
Okay. So you haven't voted then. There was nothing happening.
No.
Okay. And you were in Modesto for a year. Mm-hmm. So you haven't voted then.
Not in Modesto, no.
Okay. And prior to Modesto, you were in.
We could just go back 10 years and start there.
Oh shit! You haven't voted in 10 years?
Maybe once, and if I did, it was once.
You haven't voted here. Why are you running for this?
Because
this is Congress,
nobody's
baby.
voting. You think I'm the only one out there not voting? What do you think the percentage of the turnout is here? It's no more than 13%.
No,
nobody
there's
cares.
a lot of people not voting, but here's the thing.
There are hundreds of thousands of people not voting.
No.
It is voting.
But they're not running for Congress.
You're right. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but
come
now
on,
the one that they have the hope in is, and that's the thing, and they will come out and vote now because they can trust. And that's the thing. You can't trust what the Larsens you can't trust them. So why am I going to go out and vote where I don't trust Colonel, what's his name? Robertson? Sanders, Spices, or Flemming Larsen. If I don't trust them, I'm not leaving my house.
What do you call him?
I gotta go to work.
Oh, I gotta hear this. Why do you call him Flemming Larsen?
Because he ain't a man. Well, he's like, I'm blue collar. I started out, with nothing. He's another one. Just my $1 million credit card and these 3 steakhouses. But you look at his hand, he ain't got a callus on him. Ain't got a callus on. Put a screwdriver, Phillips, and a flathead in front of him. You probably couldn't tell me the difference. Have you heard him talk, him and his wife? No offense to your wife at all. I don't know her. She's a politician too, so she could take it. But I watched these two on this interview.
They act like
Phillips.
They could take it.
I watched them on an interview with Miss Phillips and some other gentleman. And Miss Phillips asked him, what do you feel about the homeless in Nevada, which is a big issue with me. And then I watched these two go, well, there's a lot of them. And, if they put them in those places that are, it's like what are they called? Like the homes. It's a home for homeless. And if they would go there would be no homeless. She's talking about shelters, and that's what they're talking about. And they said, but they don't go in there because there's so many of them are mentally ill. Like they're just all too crazy to go under the roof. And that was their actual, and I go, that's the guy I'm running against. And then when I seen him at the Ahern, I tried to shake his hand. And that dude put his hands in his pockets, put his head to the ground 3 times. 3 times, like I beat him up in high school and I was coming to get $5.
You took his lunch money.
And I was scared, man. I was scared to come up to him. I was scared of, career politicians. He could have come up and been like, good luck, son, you're trailer trash. Get your ass back on the east side,
Get your ass back
Get back to the east side. And nah, man, he's there's no man in there. Like, there's no man in there. Makes a good steak, though. Bomb-ass steak. Like Robertson, at least you could respect that. You see the alpha, and it might just be me, but I need an alpha if they're going to be my leader. Yeah. I can't run behind a beta that's a Democrat. I bet he's a Democrat. We should check his voting history. He was right there next to me voting for Bernie.
Okay.
But you gotta have it. You gotta have humor. You gotta have the voice of your people.
Boris, you know what? I love this interview. This is a good one. Jim, before Mr. Boris dig any bigger hole than what he already been digging, do you have anything for Mr. Boris?
No. Actually, here's the thing. One of the things that I think He's
really, honest though. I like
that's
it.
why I'm getting to that. That's what I think.
You ain't gonna see none of those other
So
candidates. Try honesty. Let's just try it out. See how it works. Only 2 years. Let's see.
But so let me ask you this though, like, if you get elected to this seat, okay, here's something I've noticed. Like, and I've interviewed a lot of candidates over the years, and there's been plenty of times. Although I will say this is probably one of the more entertaining interviews I've had so far, and thank you for that because I appreciate the humility. I really do. But I've also seen the other side of it where, like, you're originally running for office and you're very humble and all that. And then you get elected and for Congress, you serve your 2 years, you get reelected. And then I see that same person come back to me 2 years later, 4 years later, 6 years later, completely different person. And this is something that Steve and I are very big on. I don't mean to speak for Steve, but Veterans of Politics, International in particular, is if you tell us you're going to do something and you come in front of us the way you are right now, if we see you in 2 years and you're a completely different person, you can bet your ass we are going to hold you accountable.
Good.
So how can we be guaranteed that you're going to be the same humble, honest person once you take office?
Because you look at my history, one, I don't lie, and I'm known for that. I'm very transparent because everything I do, I believe, is for good. And when you're doing stuff for good, you have no reason to lie. But if you see where I started and how far I've come, I have not changed from one day. And no, everyone told me you're never going to have the first cannabis educate you stoners, or boom, we got Dr. Wayne on there. Okay, now we're on Visage Radio and XM, and you're never going to go around the world. You know, I've been Prague, everywhere. It's probably more than just Prague, but Prague. A stand-up comedian. I had a special on Netflix with Doug Benson. I'm in a movie right now on Amazon Prime called Halitosis. I won a film festival award because I've written 5 short films. I just won the short comedic in LA. All said they never do it, you know, or it'll change. I work with Tommy Chong, Mike Tyson, Willie Nelson, a lot of the WWE, and there's nothing to change. I've already kind of been there. I make more than Congress. I don't see what's so special about the Congress. You're just there to be a voice for your people. Right. Everything else is ego. So I've already touched the sun. You know, I had 5.3 million people following me. I've touched the sun already. And I'm trying to set an example that people should follow. And I would hope more people like me would get involved in politics because they're scared of it because of the Flemming Larsens of the world throwing 800,000 in there. Right. You know, but I work my ass. I'll throw in $8,000 a week if I got to, you know, from my company that I work for and bled for. But I'm not going to eat meat that week. I'll tell you that. Ain't going to be no meat. Car's going to look like crap.
So I got a follow-up question to that is, well, I'll say I appreciate your humility and you're very entertaining. You're obviously a very charismatic person. But we got to get to brass tacks a little bit here. You are running for Congress.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of people that are watching this interview right now like, oh, you know, it was entertaining, but how am I going to know that this individual really truly understands the role of a congressman? Mm-hmm. And what are you going to do once you become a congressman? Because it's not just about entertaining. You are now a federal legislature, and you're going to have to write bills that are going to impact people.
Right.
So are you prepared to do that? And what's your education on, like, constitutional law? Things
I was married to an attorney for quite some time and did half her homework. My career, as it's been, is, and the one thing in our industry is I have to educate every single person. They don't teach what we know in schools. They don't teach you at your hospitals or nothing. When we come across veterans who aren't in the know, especially 15 years ago, right. You have to educate them because they're used to one way. And that's every parent, every single person. You have to persuade. Right, I have to like when Steve the first time, you know, I don't know his history or nothing. I just see this giant Marine. Okay, I got to get this guy cool with cannabis and show him, you know, we're working with hundreds of kids or working with, you know, and get the stigma out. Now, when you're working in Congress, you have to be able to be a road between both sides. You can't be so hard right or so hard left. Nothing's going to get done. You have to be able to hold your ground over here, but still be persuadable enough to get them to come to your side, you know, without giving too much. Right. And I'll tell you now, Titus is doing a crap job. And the people that are are behind her. You know, she's cut off she's voted against the rent. She's voted against their gas. There's nothing that the people in that district should be looking for, especially the Latin and the Black community, should not be looking up to her. They're just not in the know.
Right.
So when I get up there, I don't feel like anybody else can even touch the job I can do there. You know, I'm a published author. I've been writing for years, and I've been talking openly on stages, and I'm having fun here, of course. But when I'm working in a corporate setting with like the IPA or anything with the doctors or the lawyers, it's a very different me. I know how to be professional when I need to. But again, this is fun. Got to see my buddy Kelly walk out, and I watch him like religiously at home. I'm gonna be driving to my carpetbagger country, and it's just got Netflix on the dashboard. You know, got to go get some of that Larsen steak.
Mr. Boris, is there anything you want to cover that we haven't covered?
Remember, your vote counts. And I'll tell you from a fact, the more I know, the less I wish I knew in this. But they don't target you, and I mean us. They're targeting retired white folks, sorry. And that's because they get up, they got no jobs or nothing. That vote, you got to take the day off to get out there, do it. Take everybody you know, carpool, get out there and vote. It makes such a difference. Just vote, vote, vote. I don't care if you vote for me, vote for Ron, just don't vote for Flemming or Kurt or Mark. But vote, it's important, you know.
We're gonna, I didn't know you were gonna do that because I would have had them zoom in on you.
Oh, we need to do that again.
Yeah, so
Screenshot and do that.
thank you for coming on. This has been
Oh, Michael Boris for Nevada.
very
Give all your
entertaining.
money.
This is very entertaining. Mark's gonna zoom in on you, and you're gonna have the final say. Vote for me, whatever you want to say, and your point of contact, website, email, cell, whatever. Okay.
Are we doing that thing? Yeah. Is it zoomed? Right now. You want me to come over there? Talk. Okay. I'm Michael Boris. I'm a resident of Nevada, and I'm the voice of the people. And if you're having trouble anywhere in your life, you're like me. And if you're tired of it, it's time to stand up and do something. If you're not Republican, you are Republican. You just don't know it yet. So make sure you switch. It's real easy to register and get out there for the primaries. You can follow me on Michael Boris for Nevada. And even if you're not into this, get into something. It's so super important. Vote, vote, vote. The whole world is screwed up right now because you guys are sitting at home on your asses playing PlayStation all day. Get up and vote. Michael Boris for Nevada. FOR, not the number 4. I just lacked on that.
Thank you, Mr. Boris.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you. Folks, that's Michael Boris, candidate for United States Congress, representing District Number 1. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Until next time.